Hey, this is Matt once again. What about to the video? There's another paid request, this time from Unbreakablemagiccc. They do so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And he wanted me to review another album, a Michael Jackson album called Invincible, which apparently when this came out, it did not do as well as they thought, and it was labeled a disappointment. One of the lesser, more forgotten Michael Jackson albums. I know Michael Jackson blamed the company because he said they didn't release it right, or the marketing. And I know there's a lot of people that do like this album. I think Unbreakablemagiccc even said he thought it was underrated or something. I gotta be honest, I did not like this album. I thought it sucked. I would say of the albums I've heard of Michael Jackson, this might be my least favorite. There's a handful of songs I thought was okay, but none that I would ever listen to again of these 16 songs. Again, there's a couple I did not mind. You Rock My World, Speechless, maybe even 2000 Watts, Threatened. There's a couple that I could, and I don't mind. I'm not going to say every song's awful. But there's songs I don't mind it, and Michael Jackson's voice still very prominent in them. But some of these songs just seem too long and too repetitive. I mean, you have songs that are 6 minutes long, 5 minutes long. Like the first bunch, Unbreakable, Heartbreaker, Invincible, they're like 5-6 minutes long a piece. And it feels like the chords just repeating over and over again. I'm like, you could cut like a minute or two out of this. And maybe the chorus isn't too bad, like Unbreakable. You can't believe it. You can't conceive it. You'll never break me. I'm unbreakable. But I'm like, did that need to be like a fucking 6 minute long song? No. And then you got Notorious B.I.G. in there, which, not really big on Notorious B.I.G. More of a Tupac guy, I guess. Actually, probably more of a DMX guy. Or, I mean, there's some rap I don't mind. I'm more like rock and roll guy, what am I saying? But I'm just between B.I.G. and Tupac, I would say I pick Tupac. Or like Heartbreaker. It has this sort of stat sound. That girl, I can't take her. Just seen it coming, heartbreaker. And see, again, it's like some bits I don't mind, but it's like, dude, this is going on and on and on. When is this song over? I mean, bit lengthy, bit too long. So other than maybe some bits in the chorus and Unbreakable, wasn't really big on the other ones. Break of Dawn, it was a little bit softer compared with the first three. No sun up in the sky, I could see it. Can't read what the fuck I wrote. Can't even tell what the fuck I wrote down. You have songs like Heaven Can Wait. You Rock My World, that's interesting because you have Chris Tucker at the very beginning talking. It has a nice beat to it. I would say that's the first song that I kind of got a bit into. And I've heard the song before. You rock my world, you know you did. Everything I own, I give. Rare is love who think I find someone like you to call mine. Just had a nice beat to it. Which was Chris Tucker and Michael Jackson argue at the beginning. Oh, you can't get that girl. Oh, yeah, I can. I can get that girl. Butterflies with a slow tempo. Again, got a bit tedious and monotonous. I kind of lost interest in that one. Speechless, I'd probably say, is the best song. It's a sweet song. Got a little bit of that orchestral flavor to it. This is how you make me feel. Though time, though I'm with you, I'm far away, and nothing is for real. Like I said, it has the nice orchestral beat made it much more palatable for me, and just more memorable. Just when I think of other albums like Dangerous, I could look at Jam, Black or White, Who Is It? Who is it? Or Will You Be There for the Free Willy soundtrack. Where I looked at History, Stranger in Moscow, which was a nice pleasant surprise. They Don't Care About Us, which is fantastic. You Are Not Alone. I Am Here With You. Of course, Bad and Thriller are self-explanatory, but this, a lot of the times the songs kind of went and I went, okay, Michael Jackson has a great voice, but the beats and the other stuff, it's got a bit of that anger, but I thought the anger was better in Dangerous. And I'm trying to think that other album. Stream. Make me wanna stream. Was that in History? Maybe. But Stream and They Don't Care About Us, they just had a more fun beat. Like, I'm not good at reviewing songs, so I'm not sure how to get into depth with that. 2000 Watts was interesting because it's one of those few songs where you really heard. I remember listening for a minute going, okay, when's Michael Jackson going to be singing? Who's this guy? And it took me a minute to go, oh, it is Michael Jackson. Like, this is a very deep pitch voice. I'm like, that's Michael Jackson's voice? What the fuck? So it was interesting to hear that. And to be honest, the other songs, I don't even remember because they didn't do much for me. They kind of went one ear out the other. Well, I can't even remember the other songs that was on this fucking soundtrack. I mean, the CD. So I know Michael Jackson loved the album. He said it was his favorite. I absolutely disagree. I think at times it seems like a messy album. It feels like it's all over the place from these different songs, like going from one different take to another. I guess some of these songs are a bit too long, lengthy, repetitive. Not many of them have that instant classic feel that when I think of Michael Jackson. Threatened, that's one that I took to a bit of mine because it was interesting to have the Twilight Zone bits in there. And someone actually did this on YouTube. It's pretty interesting where it's Rod Serling on the old Twilight Zone, like he would introduce and talk about the events of the story. Well, in the song, it's bits of it put together to create lyrics. It's not the whole song, but there's little bits of it. A monster, worst thing to fear. Michael Jackson, Never Neverland. A monster. And the whole song is like you fear me, you're afraid of me, maybe I should, am I a monster to you? Which, of course, with what was going on at the time, you'd figure out what that was about. But I thought it was interesting to have those Twilight Zone. And someone found the episodes of the Twilight Zone and they edited together so you could actually see which parts the verbiage Rod Serling was saying from these episodes edited together just like it was in the song on a visual way. If you just type in Threatened, Michael Jackson, Twilight Zone, or Michael Jackson, Twilight Zone, you'll find it. So, nice job for the person who edited that together. So that was interesting to hear. And I would say that, like, that song I didn't like, okay, if I have a top 3 songs, it would be probably Speechless, You Rock My World, and maybe Threatened, because that felt unique, but for me, an interesting way compared with the other ones. I don't know, like, the first couple just felt, again, not like the first song wasn't awful, but just had kind of like kind of that reaction. I don't know how else to put it. Like I said, I'm not musically inclined or knowledgeable, so I'm bad at reviewing music albums. But yeah, this album just didn't do much for me. Like I said, I much preferred History, much preferred Dangerous. I think their sound, their notes were just more to my liking. And technically, this is the last album when he was alive, and then other stuff was stuff posthumously released. I did see it just like a lot of things. There's a lot of musicians where you're not really gung ho about their later work, but I just still appreciate their early work as well. I still appreciate it had a hell of a voice too. So it's not really his voice the problem. It's just a lot of the beats. I know it's meant to be the time period, but maybe that's the thing. That's not my favorite period in terms of music. That time period of the what was it, mid 2000s? I forget what year this came out. I'm more into 80s, 90s stuff. Although there's other later stuff I did like Linkin Park, among other works. But yeah, Invincible. I just if it's not my least favorite, it's definitely one of my least favorite Michael Jackson albums. I could see why it wasn't that popular with the critics. And it's not something I went in going, oh, you overhyped. No, I forgot this album existed until I got this request because I'd never heard this album before, and now I know why. I would never listen to these songs again. Speechless Baby. It's okay, don't mind. But the others, obviously, if you're a Michael Jackson fan, you would listen to it, you'll like it, that's cool. Just, yeah, not for me. But thanks once again, man. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.